Joining us in the studio tonight, we have Phoebe Backman, the People's Budget artist and facilitator, who will be in dialogue with reporter Caroline Suarez. Welcome to the studio, Phoebe and Caroline.
Thank you, and thank you, Phoebe, for being with us. It's the first time you here in PhillyCAM, so we are so glad that you are here after collecting a lot of results with your budget project. So thank you. Tell us a little about the aims of this budget project.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's really great to be here. So the People's Budget is a project that aims to educate folks about how the city budget works, to provide opportunities for advocacy, and also to imagine what a fully funded city would look like. And so we aim to bring together Philadelphians to truly understand what is the budgeting process. And I know it may sound really boring, but I promise, we make it interesting, and we provide opportunities for them to see themselves in the city budget and to see how they can truly make a difference in their community by engaging in the budget process.
Great. Yeah, it looks like a little complex, but definitely I'm sure that you are developing strategies to make it close to all people. So let us start with the results. Maybe which are the main results that you feel that this project have gained?
Yeah, so the project's been going on for 4 years now. Mm-hmm. So we've had hundreds of people actually engage with the project by this point, which is really cool to see. We're a city of many, and we know we can't touch everyone, but we've really tried to figure out what are the different avenues that we can engage people in. So, whether that's our social media or whether that's in-person workshops. And so we've been able to see how people's perception of the budget has changed. There's a lot of people who have come to programs and they're like, I know nothing about the city budget. We always ask. We're like, okay, on a scale of 1 to 5, what do you know about the city budget? And many people show up just putting one finger up. And so we ask that as a way to kind of understand, how are people showing up into this space? What kind of work do we need to do to educate? What opportunities do we need to do to provide? And so we've really seen people be much more engaged in the process and also learn about the different ways that they can truly have their voice heard. And then we've been able to, over the years, see how some of our engagement has actually changed the budget itself. And that's been a lot of through our partnership with the city's budget office that we've done in the past. So there's a couple of different ways, that we can, gauge impact. But I think just being able to see how people understand the budget process more clearly has been a really important one.
Yeah, great. So definitely it's about education, popular education, training folks that are training in this. How did you come with this idea? I mean, which is behind the inspiration for this project? Because you have been well known for resistance acts in economic, in gender, and racial justice. But how did you came up with this new project?
Yeah, so I think a part of my art practice has always been education, because I know that we don't necessarily show up to something fully understanding it. And I think it's really interesting when we can come to places and collectively learn about how something works. And so in terms of the budget, we really began the process in 2020 after, the George Floyd protests, a lot of conversations about defund the police, and people were asking themselves, what do we prioritize in our city budget? We talk about the budget as a moral document. What is our city trying to say about what it believes in? And so we felt like the best way to go about that was to actually learn about what is in the budget currently, and then also what do people see that they need to put in the budget that's not currently being funded. And so we started with these kind of teach-ins, and we did this the first year, but we've also continued that every year so that folks can learn about how the city budget works. And in that process, we do everything from give a brief presentation on the city budget, like our Budget 101, to asking people what do they want to see in the city budget. And then sometimes we get into art activities where people can actually create things. And even in the first year, during our teach-ins, we invited grassroots groups to come and speak about what they wanted to see in the budget. We invited elected officials, department heads. So just anyone who really, was already kind of working on the ground to speak about, what has their experience been, because I think it's really important that we learn from these experts as well.
Definitely. So when all the process during the popular education, how much time do you think it takes? I mean, because I'm thinking about PhillyCAM communities and audiences that are really active, and maybe they would like to go to your workshops or be part of this interesting project. So how much time they need to be part of this?
Well, I think, in some ways you only need like 10 minutes, right?
Okay.
At the very basic level, you can go on the city council's website or on the city's website and learn about what's in the budget. There's a budget and brief document that you can read. But if you want to engage a little bit further, you can, attend one of our Budget 101s. We've completed them for the season, but you can come visit us at Love Park, and just have a conversation. And I'm more than happy to walk people through how it works. But the way that we did our Budget 101 sessions this spring is that we picked 5 community locations, so 5 different neighborhoods, and then we worked with various community groups in those areas to identify what was important to them in the city budget. And those were about like an hour and a half. So folks came to those, they learned about how the budget works. I gave them the huge document that is the 5-year plan. It's 700 pages.
Just 700.
Just 700. And through that, we were able to, just see like, what does this neighborhood really need to see in the budget? And it was great because, there's always new questions because I'm still learning about the budget. I can say, it only takes an hour, but in reality, it takes a lifetime because there's so many different city departments that you might not know about, or just ways that the city works that are still foreign. And it's just a process of constantly uncovering these various parts.
Yeah, I can imagine. So when you talk about people around, they have some requirements. I'm thinking about, are they children or youth people or adults? What is going on around these participants in your project?
Yeah, so we've really tried to make it intergenerational. So some of that is looking at what language we use. I will say with, a lot of the Budget 101s, those are probably people who are 18 and up. We did one at the Village of Arts and Humanities, and we had a lot of youth there, but we also had a lot of seniors. Our one in Nicetown was mainly seniors. South Philly, it was like a ton of millennials. And so, we really just try and make it applicable to every generation and also make it intercultural as well. But one thing that I was really excited about this year is that we worked with our Murals on the Move program, and we created a youth activity booklet so that would speak more specifically to children and youth, and that was a way to kind of engage them in this imagination process as well, because it's not just about learning how the budget works or just saying what you want. It's truly imagining, how can we have a fully funded city? What would a fully funded rec center look like? What would it look like if your school was fully funded? What lunches would you eat?
Exactly.
And so I think it's really fun in that process because kids have this uninhibited imagination where they can really just truly think out of the box. So it's really cool to engage them, in thinking about the budget.
But it's interesting your role as a facilitator, because I can imagine come with different people, different perspectives, different interests. So how do you get that? I mean, how do you work with all of this? Which is the strategy, which is your approach?
Yeah, well, it's never easy. I think coming as a facilitator in some ways is what makes me this kind of artist. But at the same time, I feel like I'm always learning from the community groups that I'm working with, because they're the ones who are, truly bringing the expertise and knowledge from their areas and their neighborhoods. And sometimes it's just about navigating a conversation where someone says, we need to see more street cleaning funding. And someone's like, I'm not about the street cleaning funding because I have to move my car, and it's much more harder for me to move my car. But at the end of the day, we can always find these common threads. We start to talk about, what does education mean? What does it mean to have a safer Philadelphia? What does it mean to have a cleaner Philadelphia? And I think that, those are Mayor Parker's kind of main points, even in her budget. And I will say people find a way to relate to those and what they mean for them.
Okay. Maybe we can talk a lot about different sides of these 4 years doing this. I'm pretty sure that you have a lot of lessons learned, but taking advantage that we are talking to our PhillyCAM communities, and I know they are really active. maybe you have the opportunity to invite them if there's still time to get in. What do you think?
Yeah, so this year we divided it into 3 phases. So the first phase was doing all these workshops across the city. Then we did a performance at City Hall, which was really beautiful roundtable performance. And now we're over at Love Park, and we have this retrofitted shipping container at the corner of 16th and Arch. Maybe you've seen it. And we are open Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays till June 21st. And so folks are welcome to come in, talk to us about the budget. We have a program this Saturday with one of our artists in residence, Sterling Johnson. And then we will also have a program for the closing day on the 21st where we'll talk about what was included in the ultimate budget, you know, and give people that opportunity to still talk to us.
Great. Last tip. I can imagine how it was to be in the City Hall. A quick idea of your...
I mean, it's incredible, right? Like, it's this beautiful building. As an artist, I'm just like, it's sculpturally magnificent. And to bring all of these community activists into the space, because, you know, we called it the People's Budget Roundtable, and that was a way to bring people from across the city to speak about what was important to them in the budget, and not just to give testimony, you know, because we are used to having opportunities for public testimony, but to have a dialogue with one another, to sit around this literally round table where they make budget decisions and to hold that space as their own. And Councilmember Kendra Brooks said a really beautiful thing, that this is the people's house, you know?
Exactly.
And so
people have to know that.
Exactly. So she truly invited us in to make it feel like it was our home, it was our place to voice these concerns. And I think that's just a really incredible way to relate to city council and relate to city government at large.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for being with us, Phoebe. I think our audience is pretty sure know a little more about this project. Maybe they have seen or hear about it, but now they know that they can go to the Love Park, to your office, and be engaged with this.
Thank you so much for having me. It was really great.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning into this episode. You can also watch our show on YouTube and Roku, and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We'll see you next time.